Sorry for the light delay. So it looked a lot like the basalt we looked at with igneous, but it's actually compacted and cemented sediments, just like we did with our Rice Krispie treats that we compacted and smushed together and glued them together. That would be what you have here with shale, a clastic sedimentary rock. Now, our organic sedimentary rocks aren't really shown on our rock cycle because they're forming from living material. The most common example is coal, and this would be coal. It's a black rock. Sometimes the one I showed you in class, actually, you could see it looked like it had bark in it from trees. It's made from that living material, which is why we call it organic. The last type of sedimentary rock would be chemical sedimentary rock, and it precipitates from solution. If you see the word solution, you should know that you definitely have a chemical sedimentary rock. We also talked about evaporation, leaving it behind. This classic example is rock salt. And rock salt is definitely a chemical sedimentary rock. It would have formed from evaporation. We also have another vocab word, evaporites, which is a type of chemical sedimentary rock. It forms after evaporation leaves the rock behind. So those are your sedimentary. You have chemical, forming from precipitating out of solution. We have organic, living things, and then clastic, pieces smushed together like our Rice Krispie treats. And that whole process is how we would have things that existed on the surface of the earth, and they're becoming sedimentary rocks in our rock cycle. So we're going from sediments, or it could have been organic material, or maybe even a solution, turning into a sedimentary rock. That process is compaction, cementation, or lithification, if we're talking about the whole actual process. Now, from a sedimentary rock, we need to go to a metamorphic rock. So how can we take an existing rock and change it into a metamorphic rock? Well, we're going to use heat and pressure from the earth. So we're going to bury our rock deeper into the earth where there's more heat and pressure, and we're going to take it and we're going to recrystallize the existing rock crystals to make either a foliated metamorphic or a non-foliated metamorphic. Now, generally, foliated metamorphics are actually going to form from regional metamorphism, and you could get a rock like this one here. This is gneiss, which is the funny one that starts with a G. And what it would have done is been buried deep in the earth, and it would have been so deep that it started to band its colors into these stripe patterns, that black and that pink. It makes banding, which is a foliated metamorphic rock, which has those wavy layers. In our case, they were wavy color layers. Sometimes they're just wave layers. Now, non-foliated metamorphic rock, they're forming from heat for the most part, and sometimes contact with hydrothermal contact metamorphism or just regular contact metamorphism. But either way, we're talking volcanic generally. There aren't any layers. This nice example here is marble. This is a pretty pink marble. It's kind of hard to tell here, but it's pink. And you can see that there's large crystals. It's been recrystallized. It's nice and sparkly. And then over here we have our non-foliated, or our foliated rock that's actually got stripes and layers. So those are your metamorphic rock types. You've got your non-foliated and your foliated rocks, one being layered while one is not. So now what do you do to take these existing metamorphic rocks and make them into magma? Well, it's actually a much simpler answer than you'd think. You just melt them. So you take our metamorphic rock and you melt it back into magma, and you're back where you started. Now, these aren't cut and dry. You can go from one place to another. You can take the sediments and heat them up so much that they actually change and crystallize into a metamorphic rock. You can take an igneous rock and heat it up and change it into a metamorphic rock. But either way, the formation, the era before it, tells you what it is. So you either have igneous rocks forming from the crystallization of magma. It's always going to be from magma crystallizing. You have sediments that have to be broken down to form a sedimentary rock, so it's always going to form from the compaction and cementation of sediments. And then you have heat and pressure that always form metamorphic rock. So take a look at that, look over your notes, and let me know if you have questions.